Rob G, the Super Bowl, and this is the same thing that we've been talking about the idea of team versus quarterback.
Yeah, that's where we're at right now.
Yeah, they're saying that
Are those your wings?
the L in Super Bowl LX stands for long shot, right? And that's because these two teams together, the Seahawks and the Patriots, statistically is the most unlikely Super Bowl in NFL history. Combined odds entering the season of 4,800 to 1. So nobody saw these teams coming here, and for big reason. Neither one of them coming into the year had what you would call a top-flight quarterback. Drake May showed flashes as a rookie, but nobody saw him really making that kind of a leap. And Sam Darnold, as good as he was last season in Minnesota, still has the reputation, the stench of being a turn into a pumpkin type of player. So, guys, now that this has happened, and this happens kind of regularly if you think about it, anytime you get to the Super Bowl, there's always at least one quarterback who is either on his rookie deal or is very severely underpaid. In fact, since 2012, there's only been 2 Super Bowls that did not feature a quarterback on his rookie contract. And so now when you saw this season, Patrick Mahomes didn't make the playoffs. Lamar Jackson didn't make the playoffs. Joe Burrow didn't make the playoffs. There are a lot of people around the league, both internally and externally in the media, that think this type of season where you see 2, also ran kind of quarterbacks coming into the season, make the jump, get their team to the Super Bowl because the rest of the roster around them is so good. Do you agree?
I totally disagree. I think this is a one-off, and it happens sometimes. That's why Matthew Stafford's in the mix as a 37-year-old with a chance to get an MVP late in his career. That doesn't happen. It really doesn't. Like, he was never in the mix for it.
That's true.
It's a one-off. He was never in the mix. It was never in the mix all the way, like 17 years in the league, and now he has a chance to win an MVP. So I think it's a one-off. Do you think Patrick Mahomes or Lamar or Joe Burrow, all these guys are never going to win again, and it's going to be teams that are more balanced and don't have a great quarter? I just don't think that's the case. Things like this happen sometimes where you have bad starts by some teams, collapses, injuries. We see more injuries today, with star players, good players. So I'm not saying that a team doesn't want a more balanced team, but they also want a great quarterback if they can have it. And I would bet that 8 or 7 of the next 10 Super Bowls, some of those great quarterbacks are going to be winning them, and it won't be Drake May or Sam Darnold's going to run off 3 Super Bowls. I just don't see that. It's a one-off. It happens sometimes, and I think that's what this season is.
I get it. I think where I would disagree with you and agree with the numbers are that you could be right. Like, let's say it's Lamar Jackson next year, or it's Patrick Mahomes, one of the usual guys who are getting all the money.
Not Patrick. He never won another one. Go ahead.
Guys who are getting buku money. The difference is, and to what Rob G was stating, then it might be against Caleb Williams, who's still on a rookie deal. It could be against a guy like that. I think
So the Lions are out of the mix then, right?
So the Lions got one more chance. I told you, one more year.
So
they got one more year. I told you. With Jared Goff. You can't keep having a standstill quarterback. I told you, this is coming from a fan. You got one more crack if your offensive line is amazing. Other than that, it won't work. But I think we'll still continue to see where you might get a hybrid of the two. What you were saying, a star quarterback, but to Rob G's point, where you'll always have a underpaid or a young guy in it. And part of it is just because when I don't have to pay young Russell Wilson, I can have the Legion of Boom and Big Beast Mode and some guys around him. I can have a bigger team because I haven't had to pay that guy.
But the Rams won a Super Bowl without doing that. And I'm just saying, they went out and spent all the money after picks. They don't care. You know what I mean? And
that was Joe Burrow, right?
No.
Rams, who they beat?
They beat Joe Burrow.
Yeah, Joe Burrow. Yeah. He wasn't paid, right? So that's
right.
But the point. You're going to get a team there who doesn't have to. It won't be both a Matthew Stafford making all the money and a Patrick Mahomes making all the money is what we're saying. You're going to get a young Jalen Hurts in the Super Bowl. You're going to get a young Patrick Mahomes. You're going to get a young Russell Wilson. You're going to get a young Tom Brady those first few, where you just get guys who are young Ben Roethlisberger. I mean, you can go down the line where these young guys get in, because it's like, oh shoot, Nick Foles, and you just have young people who haven't been making money, because I can spend all that money elsewhere, and I can be able to create a good team. I can have the best players, because ultimately you get teams that eventually they overpaid. The defense gets crazy. Now you got to make changes. You lose guys, and I got to shave all that money and put it to the quarterback. So I just think you're going to continue to find teams that are very well-rounded, coached, and they got just enough of a window with a young guy that they can make it a chance to run at a Super Bowl before they got to pay the young guy all the money.
I hear that whole thing, and I don't think that it's automatic.
I don't think it's automatic.
And we need to see more of those situations. And you're talking about, even when you talk about a Caleb or a Joe Burrow getting to, these are the best of the best. These aren't no middle-of-the-road quarterbacks you're not paying money where you're saying, well, we don't need a big-time quarterback. And we've seen it with lesser-than quarterbacks, but they always have a historically great defense or something of that ilk.
But that's what they're saying. You build around. You have this amazing defense. To your point, the Buccaneers with Brad Johnson, or you have this amazing defense, special teams, and then we get a quarterback.
I just don't think you could build. I don't think that's like, some of those are once in a lifetime. Even when you look at the Texans, we talked about it all year. Hey, this is a Super Bowl defense. Well, if you didn't have good quarterback play, guess what?
They ain't even need good.
But it negated it,
they needed mid.
What I'm trying to say to you.
So
it
still
negated it.
But here's why I think.
Doesn't matter what the quarterback was making. If he doesn't play well enough or he didn't turn the ball over, you still won't win.
But here's why I think, if you go with the ideology of building these teams up, the Texans can say, we have shots at it because Mixon's going to come back and they can actually run the ball. Defense is going to be great. And then you can say, we keep having chances because our defense is that good.
But the only thing is that I'm going to discount it is the 2 championships. I know they're going for a 3-peat, but they won. Patrick Mahomes was making 64% of the salary cap. So even
that
in
first go round, he wasn't.
No, but I'm saying the second one where they won back-to-back, he got his money. He was high paid, and they couldn't keep other people, and they didn't have the total team, but somehow they were able to still win 2 Super Bowls.
And dang it, if they could kept some people, they might have won another one.
But you see my point.
That's why I said it's not foolproof. I just think teams are like, when you're building something, I keep going back to that Seahawks team. We got Seahawks here. When you start to build something, Pete Carroll, we know even at USC, we always talk about the offensive players at USC. Well, you know what they were also amazing at was defense. And Pete Carroll is known for defense. And he gets the Legion of Boom, which they weren't at that time. They get created the Legion of Boom. And then you get to running game. Pete Carroll wants to run. Reggie Bush, Lendale White. He gets this amazing defense. That's what he does. He gets the running game going. We're supposed to have Matt Flynn, but he goes, no, we're going to get this young guy. Young guy balls out in the next few years, you're in a couple of Super Bowls. So I think that's kind of the point of what a lot of teams are saying. If we can hit a lick for about 3-4 years before we got to pay Guy X, we can have a run at it before
So if Seattle loses, and this is my scenario.
I'm hearing you.
And Sam Darnold plays poorly, okay? Because that has to be a part of the equation. He turns into the guy who turns the ball over all the time. If you're Seattle, do you go, God, did we waste this defense and this team with the also-ran quarterback with a guy who couldn't play? Do you know what I mean? Like, do you look at it like that? Or
what was the option then? What are you?
No.
What was the other option?
I'm just saying, as him not being a top-flight quarterback or a guy that people believed in all year as well as they played. Rob G knows this. You know this. That people doubted them the whole way through. Despite all that,
I think there's still a contingency going to do it on Sunday.
Right.
They're like, he got a Darnold at some point. Yeah, I believe that. I truly believe a lot of people.
Because they can't believe how well he played in the last game and go, like, he's due for a stinker.
Yeah, we had Brentley Weissman with us yesterday. He was. I thought I was talking to you. I turned my back on you, and I was like, what is this, Rob Parker Jr.? He was right there with you. But I think.
Because there are a lot of people like him. I don't think I'm the lone wolf.
That's why I said I agree. I think he could be, when we talked about this going into the NFC Championship game, when I said all he has to do is be what we said C.J. Stroud would be, which was to not hurt his team. He ended up being the reason, the large reason they won. No, not to C.J. Darnold, I'm saying. But I want to build the team and hope I get the young guy, the good guy for a handful of years so we can be good for a while.
All right.